everyone. Welcome to Studio Classroom. I'm your teacher, Vicki. Liz and Steve will join us in just a moment. Do you like animals? Have you ever wondered which animals are the smartest? Well, in this month's Top Picks, we'll be taking a look at the world's top 5 smartest animals. Not all researchers and scientists would agree, but most would say these make the top of the list. What are they? Well, let's take a look. Join us on page 24 as we begin the world's top 5 smartest animals.
The world's top 5 smartest animals. Can apes learn to use computers? Can dolphins talk to each other? Can elephants use tools? Surprisingly, the answer to all these questions is yes. Humans aren't the only intelligent creatures on our planet. Some scientists think that animals are more intelligent than humans have realized. Many scientists have speculated about which animals are the smartest. There is some argument on this subject, but most scientists put the same animals at the top of the list. Here are 5 of our world's brainiest beasts.
In this article, we are taking a look at the most intelligent animals on the planet. But just how smart are they really?
Well, I think they're pretty smart, Vicki, and I think they're smarter than we realize. I think we tend to underestimate the intelligence of most animals.
That's right. And when we say smart, people have different ideas as to what we're talking about. People measure intelligence in different ways, but we'll find out.
That's right. So let's take a closer look. It says, can apes learn to use computers? And can dolphins talk to each other? And can elephants use tools? Perhaps these are questions that people have asked.
Well, yeah, and again, as you said, Liz, what is the criteria? What are we measuring this against? Can an ape turn on a computer and type his name, or can he simply see something on the screen and recognize it? So we have to be reminded again, what is the measurement we're using?
That's right. And also using a computer, using tools, talking to each other. These are things that people do, but can animals use them? Well, people don't. People have different ideas, and that's why people question as to how smart animals can really be.
Right. We might decide what the standard is, and we also might say, well, compared to humans, maybe they're not very smart, but they are probably more intelligent than we sometimes give them credit for.
Right. Line 2 says, can dolphins talk to each other? And when we think of the word talk, we think of words, but I think a good word to substitute for that is simply communicate. Can dolphins communicate with each other? I think yes.
Right. And when we talk about elephants using tools, we're not talking about a hammer and something like that, but we're talking about something, an object that they use, that they turn into something that they can use like a tool.
That's right. And moving on to the next sentence, we see the answer. Surprisingly, the answer to all these questions is yes. In other words, animals are really smart.
It does say humans aren't the only intelligent creatures on our planet. Now, again, intelligence here is referring to the idea that they can do things that maybe we didn't think that they could do before. They're able to think or process things and make decisions.
Right. Man, as human beings, have been living with these kinds of animals for thousands of years. But only now scientists are saying we are really understanding how intelligent they really are.
That's right. As we say in the next sentence, some scientists think that animals are more intelligent than humans have realized. Now, we have to add the have realized here, yes, because we're not talking about who's smarter, animals or humans. We're talking about they're actually smarter than what people have always thought of them as.
Notice it says many scientists have speculated about which animals are the smartest. And actually, I looked online, and people have different lists of which are smartest. But most of them would say that these 5 that we're going to be mentioning are among the smartest.
That's right. To speculate would be to reason or to think deeply, and often with facts. You're not just thinking about things in a very shallow way. You're really seriously deciding and using facts to make some coming up with some conclusions.
Right, you make judgments based on information, solid information that you have found. Let's review that word right now in this conversation.
What will you do after you graduate?
I'm not sure, and I don't want to speculate.
Why not? It's fun to speculate about the future.
Not for me.
Why not?
Because I'm not doing very well in school. In fact, I may not even graduate.
Oh, then maybe you can speculate about that. Will you or won't you graduate?
So we see that scientists have speculated over which animals are the smartest, and it says here there is some argument on this subject. So in other words, the argument is there's some debate. Some scientists believe other animals might be smarter.
I think this is something we should remember. If you take a cat lover and put him in the same room as a dog lover, you're going to have an argument over which animal is more clever. And I think this is true among the scientific world about which animals are the most intelligent.
That's true. So everybody has their own list as to which animals are the smartest. However, as we see in line 11, most scientists do put the same animals at the top of the list. In other words, most scientists could more or less agree as to which animals are the smartest.
It's hard to give an animal an IQ test. It's hard to sit the animal down with a pencil and have a standard test for all these different ideas of what intelligence is. But scientists do have a good idea of which animals are at the top of the list.
Okay, well notice it says here are 5 of our world's brainiest beasts. Now brainiest here just simply means the smartest, right?
That's right. Now students, notice you could see the word brain in brainiest. And sometimes in an informal way we would describe a very smart person as simply brainy, except it would be B-R-A-I-N-Y. But when we're talking about most intelligent, we would add an EST. But don't forget, the Y needs to be changed into an I.
Okay, and after brainiest, we have the word beasts. And I think the author used the word beast because it begins with a B and it has a ring to it, brainiest beasts. And we know beasts is another word for creatures, usually, but not always, having 4 legs.
Okay, so in this article we will be taking a look at the brainiest beasts on the planet, and perhaps your favorite animal is not on the list, but I'm sure they're still intelligent, right?
I think they are.
We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll take a look at the first one.
Most of Dr. Jane Goodall's research on chimpanzees has been done in which country? A. Argentina, B. Tanzania, C. Bangladesh. Most of Dr. Jane Goodall's research on chimpanzees has been done in which country? B. Tanzania. In 1960, Dr. Goodall began her research in the East African nation of Tanzania, and today it's still one of the best places to see chimps in the wild. Well, that would be fun!
Welcome back, everyone. We want to continue with our lesson. We hope you'll join us now in the right-hand column as we take a look at our first top 5 great apes.
The world's top 5 smartest animals. Great apes. A few world-famous apes have learned to communicate with humans using sign language. Perhaps the most famous is a gorilla named Koko. Koko can sign over 1,000 words and understands quite a bit of spoken English. But even Koko might be impressed to hear about a chimpanzee who loves to play on the computer. She memorizes letters and numbers on a screen, then reproduces them after the screen goes blank. She's hooked on her computer like kids are hooked on video games, says Dr. Jane Goodall, who studies apes.
this section we're talking about great apes, so we're talking about actually many different types of apes or animals, right?
Okay, apes is a large category, and under this category we have chimpanzees and gorillas, both of which we'll be talking about in a minute.
So in the first section here it says, a few world-famous apes have learned to communicate with humans using sign language. Now, not all of them have, but some of them have.
That's right. Some of them have learned sign language, and that's how they have become so famous, and so famous to the point that people around the world have heard about them, and that's why we use the word world famous to describe them.
Right, sign language is a language used by using movements of the body, particularly used by people who are deaf. Now, in this case, the gorilla or the ape, for example, if he wants to have a banana, he'll take his forefinger like this and he'll pretend like he's peeling it. And that actually is the way to say banana in the American Standard Sign Language.
Okay, so it would look like he was trying to peel a banana and he wanted to communicate that he wanted a banana. Okay, so sign language would be very effective then in communication.
Not only that, he knows banana, but I think this ape knows 1,000 other words, and that's pretty impressive.
Right, because it says here perhaps the most famous is a gorilla named Coco, and Coco can sign over 1,000 words. But Coco also understands quite a bit of spoken English, it tells us.
Actually, Coco is a female gorilla. She's actually a Western lowland gorilla. That means she's from Western Africa. And she's been learning, or she's been using sign language since 1972. And as you said earlier, Vicki, she also understands spoken English. Now, sometimes we think you have to be able to speak a language in order to demonstrate your intelligence, but listening is also an important skill that shows how much you know.
Okay, so Coco can understand some spoken English, but she has quite a vocabulary when it comes to sign language.
That's right, Vicki, an impressive 2,000-word vocabulary. Another thing that made Coco famous was back in 1998, she used the internet, and she had an online chat with a bunch of people. I'm not sure how much she communicated herself, but she did use the internet, and that was a big news at that time.
That's right.
But speaking of computers, let's look at the next paragraph here, because even Coco might be impressed to hear about a chimpanzee who loves to play on the computer. Now, Coco used the internet, but here's a chimpanzee who knows how to use the computer and play with it.
Okay, so a chimpanzee is also in the ape family, right? A smaller ape than, of course, a gorilla. But we find out here that she memorizes letters and numbers on a screen, and then she reproduces them after the screen has gone blank or gone dark.
Now, I don't know how exactly she reproduces them. It doesn't say, but I would imagine she points to something to show her trainer that she does remember what was on the screen.
Well, it makes me wonder whether she could even type.
Right.
Perhaps not like a human being, but maybe just one letter at a time. She could just punch out whatever she remembered seeing on the screen.
Right. If she saw an A on the screen and then the screen went dark, she could locate the A on the keyboard.
Right, that's how she would reproduce the letter A if she did do that, meaning she repeated it after she memorized it. So she saw it on the screen, she memorized it, the screen went blank, and then she was able to repeat it or reproduce it.
Now, the scary part is that she's actually hooked on her computer like kids are hooked on video games, it tells us here. Now, we've talked about this before and how dangerous this can actually be, but it's obvious that she really loves her computer because the idea of being hooked on something is almost like you have an addiction to something.
That's right. To be hooked onto something would just mean you're strongly attracted to it. You're so attached to it because there is this addiction, as you used the word earlier. Let's review this phrase in the following conversation.
Wow, this new book I'm reading is so interesting.
Oh, hi, have you seen this new video game? It's so cool. I'm hooked on it. I could play it for hours. It's so much fun. Look.
Yeah, that's nice.
High score.
Hey guys, guess what? I got this new MP3 player. It's so cool. I love music. I'm hooked on it. I could listen all day.
Oh, good.
Hey, you guys, have you tried these new potato chips? They're so delicious.
I can't stop eating them. I'm hooked on these things. You want some? Try one. They're great. Yeah. You want one? They're good. Come on, try one.
Excuse me, but I'm hooked on reading, and I can't read with all this noise. Shh, quiet.
Sorry. Come on, they're great. Have some more. Yeah. Come on, have one. They're great.
So we find out that this chimpanzee is hooked on her computer. She spends a lot of time with it, enjoys it very much, but it is like an addiction.
Like we talked about earlier, young people being hooked on the computer. It's funny to see now that even the chimpanzees are being hooked on computers. Now it says Dr. Jane Goodall said this, and Dr. Jane Goodall, we need to say, is a very famous zoologist who for 40 years has been studying apes. So she's an expert on ape behavior.
That's right. Now, when we say studying apes, we're talking about somebody who examines and observes the behavior of ape. Now, people usually think we study English or study a language, but this is a different kind of studying.
That's right. Well, students, it's time for us to review our lesson, but before we do, of course, we have a chance once again to hear from Ken and Rachel. Now, we know that you've been enjoying the chat room. You've been learning a lot, and I'm sure today they have something great for you, so listen carefully.
Hello and welcome to the chat room. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Ken.
Our lesson today talks about a gorilla named Coco who can sign over 1,000 words and also understands quite a bit of spoken English.
She can understand broken English? So if you speak perfect English to her, she won't be able to understand it?
No, Ken, not broken English, spoken English.
Spoken English? What other kind of English is there?
Well, written English. Most languages can be spoken as well as written. My Chinese isn't very good. I can understand some spoken Chinese, but basically I don't understand any written Chinese. So don't give me a Chinese newspaper to read.
Don't worry, I won't. 这只猩猩很聪明哦，它可以听得懂 spoken English， 不是 broken English 哦 ，broken English 是很破的英文 ，spoken 其实就是 speak 的过去分词，所以 spoken English 就是口述式的英文。那相对的呢，有 written English 就是写出来的英文，也就是英文字。So this gorilla Coco can sign over 1,000 words. I don't get it. When you sign your name, you're just signing a couple of words, your first name and last name. Why sign 1,000 words?
Be careful, Ken. In this case, to sign doesn't mean to sign your name with a pen. It's talking about sign language, which is when you use hand gestures to communicate.
所以 sign 在这里并不是签名啊。今天我们讲到的这个 sign 是来自于 sign language， 就是手语。所以用手语来沟通就是 to sign。那这只猩猩呢是可以用手语来表达1000多个字。
Okay, students, it's time to visit Michelle for today's language tips.
Hi everyone, I'm Michelle. 今天第一个重点，我们看第二段开始的 speculate 这个动词。speculate 是指思考、思索，或者是推测或推断。对某件事情加以推测或思索的话，是用 speculate about 或者是 speculate on something 这个片语。例如 People began to speculate about the CEO's resignation. 大家开始推测总裁辞职的原因。接下来看最后一段的 reproduce 这个动词 re 这个字首在这里是指再一次 produce 是指产生或制造，所以 reproduce 在这里是指再一次发出某种声音，或者是再一次呈现某种影像。例如英文老师可能会说 Students, please listen to the sound, then try to reproduce it. 同学们请注意发音，然后试着重复跟着念。所以我们看下面的 hooked on something 这个口语的形容词片语。hooked 是从 hook 勾住这个动词的过去分词衍生出来的。hooked on something 被某件事情勾住了，就是指对某件事情着迷或者是上了瘾的。例如 Nick is hooked on computer games. Nick 迷上了打电脑游戏。And I hope you're hooked on Studio Classroom. Come back tomorrow for more. Goodbye and take care.
Speculate. You can't know for sure what your life will be like in the future, but it's fun to speculate. Brainy. Bob, the brainiest kid in our class, always gets the highest score on every test. Sign language. My brother is deaf, so our family talks to him using sign language. Reproduce. This is not an original painting. The artist simply reproduced someone else's work. Hooked on something. Linda is hooked on a Korean TV show. She watches it every night.
Well, students, today we learned that apes can use computers, dolphins can talk, and elephants can use tools. Researchers and scientists believe that animals are much smarter than we think they are. We learned today at the top of the list are the great apes, and we found out that some of them can learn sign language. We learned about Coco. Coco can sign more than 1,000 words and understand even more. We also learned about a chimpanzee. She is hooked on her computer. She can actually memorize letters and numbers and reproduce them. Amazing. We'll learn about 2 more amazing animals next time, so we hope you'll join us then. Bye-bye, everyone.